You know that feeling of absolute chaos when water gets where it isn't supposed to be in your home? A burst pipe, a flooded basement. It feels like a total crisis. But here's the thing. Behind that chaos, there's a really methodical, almost fascinating science to bringing everything back under control. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. And to really get a handle on the solution, you've got to understand the full scope of the problem, which, believe it or not, starts with a pretty strange question. So, what in the world could a hot, sticky summer day have in common with a frozen pipe that's just ruptured in the middle of winter? It sounds like a riddle, right? Well, the answer is that they are both relentless drivers of water damage, especially in a place with a unique coastal climate like Poquoson, Virginia. Because in a place like Poquoson, water damage just doesn't take a vacation. In the summer, your AC is running nonstop, right? Well, all that condensation it creates can be silently seeping into your walls. Then bam, winter hits with a crazy cold snap, and suddenly your pipes are like these frozen, ticking time bombs just waiting to burst. And all year long, that heavy coastal air is trapping moisture everywhere, while you've always got storms lurking offshore, threatening to bring the ocean right inside. And that really gets to the heart of it. For a community that's literally surrounded by water, sitting on land with a high water table, it's never a question of if water is going to be a problem, it's always when and from where. It's like living in a constant environmental pressure cooker. So how does all that pressure actually show up inside your house? Let's break it down and look at the two main fronts where water attacks. What's so important to get here is that this is a two-sided threat. I mean, on one hand, you've got these huge environmental forces, storm surges, groundwater being pushed up from below. But then, look at the other side. The danger could be something as simple as a leaky washing machine hose or a clogged AC drain line. It's a pretty stark reminder that a total disaster can be caused by a hurricane or by an appliance you don't even think twice about. And you know what? It doesn't matter if the water came from a hurricane or a dishwasher. The second it's inside, a clock starts ticking, and every single second counts. So let's dive into how the pros literally race against that clock. 60, that is the magic number. The gold standard for the industry is to have a certified crew show up at your door within just 60 minutes of getting that emergency call. So why the crazy rush? Well, think about it. In just 1 hour, that water can soak through the bottom of your drywall. It can start to buckle your hardwood floors, and it creates this perfect, dark, damp playground for mold to start growing. So speed isn't just about showing up fast, it's the #1 damage control strategy. Those first 24 hours are just this whirlwind of controlled, urgent action. Within a few hours of arriving, the crew has already assessed the damage, and they're pulling out gallons and gallons of water with these huge industrial pumps. And get this, before that first day is even over, anything that's soaked beyond saving is being removed, and the real workhorses, the big fans and dehumidifiers, are getting set up. It is all about one thing: stabilization. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? A fast response isn't just for show, it's a financial necessity. Stopping that water from spreading, or migrating, is the single most important thing you can do to save the structure of your home and, frankly, a lot of money. Okay, so the immediate danger is over. The standing water is gone. But the real work, the part that makes sure your home is healthy for the long run, that's just getting started. So let's move on to the restoration process itself, this methodical journey from wet to completely dry. And this whole thing happens in 3 main phases. Phase 1 is that emergency response we just talked about. Then comes phase 2, and this is where the real science kicks in. This is structural drying. We're talking industrial strength dehumidifiers and high-speed air movers working 24/7 to pull every single drop of trapped moisture out of the very bones of your home. And only when that is totally verifiably done can phase 3, the actual repairs and rebuilding, even begin. And here's the thing you have to understand. This is not a quick fix. You can't rush it. Structural drying is a slow, methodical process that usually takes 3 to 7 days. Why so long? Well, think about it. Materials like hardwood or plaster or concrete, they hold onto moisture deep inside and they release it very, very slowly. You can't just dry the surface, you have to dry the entire core. But how on earth do they know when that core is truly dry? I mean, it's not about how it looks or feels to the touch. This is not guesswork. This brings us to the actual science of drying, which is how professionals can prove with data that a structure is ready for repair. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, the difference between just guessing and actually knowing. On one side, you have unreliable senses. It looks dry, it feels dry. But on the other, you have hard data. Professionals use these calibrated moisture meters that can actually measure the water content deep inside a piece of wood. And then you have thermal imaging cameras, which are so cool. They let technicians literally see temperature differences, revealing hidden pockets of cold, damp moisture that are hiding behind a wall just waiting to cause mold and rot down the road. And those specific standards they're aiming for? They're all set by the ICRC. This is the global organization that literally writes the rulebook for the entire restoration industry. Meeting their standards isn't just about finishing the job, it's about giving you, the homeowner, a guarantee, a certification that protects you from the long-term nightmare of incomplete drying, like hidden mold or structural damage. And we're talking incredibly specific standards here. They have to get the moisture content in the wood framing of your house down to 15% or less. They have to get drywall to register below 1% on their professional meters. These aren't just suggestions, they are the non-negotiable finish line. It's the only way to prove a structure is scientifically dry. Okay, so now that we've gone through the whole process and the science behind it, let's bring it all home. What are the absolute most important things you need to know to protect your property, your health, and let's be honest, your wallet? First, and this is so critical, not all water is the same. The IICRC breaks it down into 3 categories based on how contaminated it is. Category 1 is clean water, say from a broken water pipe. But Category 3, what's known as black water, is seriously contaminated. And here is the biggest takeaway. Water from storm surges, from rivers flooding, or from a sewage backup is always considered Category 3. That's why you should never, ever try to handle a major flood cleanup yourself. The health risks are just too serious. And that contamination level we just talked about, well, it's also a massive driver of the final cost. As you can see, it's often the single biggest factor. Why? Because cleaning up Category 3 black water requires way more safety gear, specialized cleaning chemicals, and very specific ways of getting rid of all the contaminated stuff. And finally, if you ever find yourself in this situation, just remember this one word: documentation. Your most powerful tool, your absolute best friend in this whole process, is a complete record. A pro company is going to give you daily moisture maps, tons of photos, and logs of every single piece of equipment on site. This whole package of proof is exactly what you need to make sure your insurance claim goes through smoothly and fairly. So I'll leave you with this final thought. After you have a leak, what's really the biggest risk? Is it the puddle of water you can see on the floor, or is it the hidden moisture that's silently spreading inside your walls? As we've seen, it's almost always the water you don't see that poses the greatest long-term threat. So the next time you spot even a small leak, don't just mop it up. Think about where else that water might be going and take action.